Here comes your pre-market summary for Friday, February 17th. Futures extending declines that we saw kick off late in the day yesterday. Hawkish comments coming from the Fed's bargain late in the day, sending the market to the downside in a big way. Big tech led things right across the board. Tesla specifically relatively weak. Here's how things are setting up right now. 0.58 for the S&P. 0.39 for the Dow, the Nasdaq leading 0.8 already to the downside. Red numbers top to bottom though. Big move down in oil here as well. 3% already for crude downside. 2.7 for Bitcoin. Ethereum under pressure as well, down about a full percent. Speaking of Fed's bargain, back at it again this morning. 8:30. Barkin will be making more comments after kicking off that selling late yesterday, so we'll see how that comes across for the overall market. We'll get some inflation data for Canada, mostly at 8:30. U.S. export prices coming through at 8:30 as well. And then the conference board's leading indicator coming up at 10 a.m. That's a month-over-month change, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Overall, the market, I mean, we're still kind of chopping around within this range at the top end of the range, but back towards the bottom. Support levels for the SPY, the Q's looking very similar. Big move up off the lows. We're kind of chopping around within this range. Back towards support though for both the S&P and NASDAQ this morning. That's how Tesla is starting the day. We are dealing with a bit of a pullback right across the board as far as tech is concerned. Tesla, as I mentioned, was among the leaders to the downside late in the day yesterday. Elon comes out and says the quote-unquote retaliatory firing in New York over that union story we mentioned yesterday, completely false, not a thing at all. So, I mean, there's nothing major on Tesla today. We'll have a look at it anyways. Very active already. In the pre-market, some earnings to deal with as well. DraftKings to the upside after a beat. DoorDash also higher after a beat. Nice look for both on the daily chart, moving higher. Meta shares back on watch. Big tech in general under pressure, as I mentioned, but more possible EU regulations coming through on online content rules. So Meta, Google, Alphabet, even Twitter mentioned in that note this morning. Microsoft mentioned in its own note in relation to ChatGPT with some customizable features coming through apparently for users of both Bing and Edge if you're going to make that switch. ROKU. Double upgrade from Bank of America this morning after earnings earlier in the week. We'll talk about Moderna here under a little bit of pressure as well. Their MRNA flu vaccine coming back with some not so good results in their latest test. Grab the watch list, guys. Use that QR code on screen right now. We'll see you shortly. We're live coming up here at 8:30 on TraderTV.Live.